Oh, hello, Jay. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and gracing
Thank
us
you.
with your
Thank you.
presence. Yes. Um, Jay, you are a part of a lot of things. I have been stalking you these past few
Oh no.
days, and
Uh-oh.
you got a lot of stuff going on. You're working on this game, and so yeah, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on right now.
Okay. All right. Well, hello. Hi, I'm Jay, obviously. My goodness. You're right. I am doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess right now, a little bit about me. I work a full-time job.
Okay.
Uh, Basically just 40 hours a week, whatever. It's like 9, 10 hour days.
Yeah.
And then, uh, aside from that, I'm typically doing, oh my God, a man of many hats. As you see here, I work with our team on Colossus Eternal Blight. I'm the
Yes.
sound, audio director, engineer, person, whatever you want to call me. I do all things audio.
Nice.
Um, so there's that, and then on top of that, sometimes I'm doing vocal mixing for singers on the internet. Sometimes I'm doing um, oh my goodness. I used to do YouTube videos, but I haven't had much time for that anymore. So I used to do a lot of stuff. I'm still doing a lot of stuff, but it's kind of a more focused priority now. It's mostly just this game and whatever time I have for commission work. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what my life currently looks like.
That's so cool. I mean, I was taking a peek at your game here, and it looks so good. It's just like so nostalgic looking at it. Like you got
Thank you so much.
it's like giving me Chrono Trigger vibes and Crosscode and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how big is your team that you're working on with this?
Oh my goodness. Right now, I think we just added a few more like commissioned members, so for art and such. But I think we're six of us.
Okay.
We've got our lead dev who does all the stuff you see here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to tell him you liked you got nostalgic vibes from the game. He'll be really appreciative of that.
Nice.
We got our lead dev. We have me, the audio person. We've got our composer, Adlib Piano, does really
Mm-hmm.
amazing work. He's great. We have our game designer, like he does all the creative stuff, and then
Yep.
we've got our creative writer who is helping us flesh out story, things of that nature, and then we have a concept artist who you can see most of their art on our like website with all the mailing list stuff and things of that nature. They do most of the sketched out work that usually ends up turning into pixel art in the engine. So
Mm-hmm.
and then aside from that, we recently brought on a couple, you know, commissioned pixel artists to help us with things like enemies, literally anything to help our lead dev basically just focus on dev because for a while he was doing literally everything.
Yeah. I see your love for Zelda, and in the poster back there, I'm a fan of The Legend of Zelda. Majora's Mask is my favorite game of all time.
Me too. Oh my!
Yes,
I've never met anyone else who has that as their favorite game.
it's my favorite game of all time. It's phenomenal. Um, did you kind of grow up playing video games, and it kind of naturally led into this? I know you play the clarinet and stuff like that. So that kind of probably all just weave together pretty naturally, or how did that look for you?
Eh, yeah, so I mean, I did definitely grow up playing video games. For me, it's funny because like really interesting. Here, fun fact about me: I don't have very good eyesight, right? I mean, I wear glasses, you can see that, but like when I was born, I was like super cross-eyed. I had really bad eyesight, and I had to have a bunch of like LASIK laser eye surgeries to like correct the muscles in my eyes.
Yep.
So when I was younger, the doctor literally told my parents like put him in front of a TV, let him play video games, because it was something about letting the muscles focus on whatever I'm doing on the screen, and
Interesting.
so it was like good for me, like actually good for my health. It was crazy because they tell you you're not supposed to sit in front of screens for a long time, right? It's funny, but and so from a very young age, as far as back as I can remember, Nintendo 64 days, I was playing so many games, and Zelda was what I had, so it was my favorite. Just so from there, right? It's like I definitely played a lot of games throughout my lifetime, lifetime, lol, as if I'm that old, lifetime. But um, honestly, like I never ever thought about like making a game ever.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very excuse me, sorry. It was a very spontaneous thing. When I went to college, when I was in high school, I wanted to be in a rock band, right? And I
Sure.
was a drummer. And so when I went to college, I was like, well, what do I want to go to college for? And I decided, well, I'll go for like audio engineering, so that way I can mix my own group stuff, so I don't have to pay people to do it, right? That was
Hmm.
a silly whatever, but it works,
That
right?
makes sense. Yeah.
And so I went to Full Sail University for
Oh,
2 years
nice.
and got a bachelor's degree in recording arts, which is just a fancy way of saying I know how to use this thing. Um,
Yeah.
but like when I was there, that was the only thing I was like, my whole life I was like focused on, okay, I'm gonna go do music mixing for my own music or whatever. Not that I make music, but I just was like, anything that needs mixed, I'll do it,
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Then I got about halfway through my program, and I had like a huge mental breakdown once in a music business class we had, because one of the like school alumni came in, and he's like super big. He mixes for like a bunch of like well-known pop artists, right? And he comes in and he's basically like, you will suffer. You will work paycheck to paycheck, barely. You will maybe not make any money at all. You will have to deal with all the documentation. You will have to do all these things. It will suck forever until you find that diamond in your haystack,
Hmm.
basically. And I was like, I had a mental breakdown. I was like, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. That sounds
Yeah.
horrid. I can't stand that.
I
I
think
can't
anybody
handle it.
would. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so I didn't know what I was going to do at that point. I was like, should I just drop out? What do I do? I don't want to do this anymore. But then the other half, latter half of the program was audio, like post work, like for animation
Oh, yeah.
and video games. We did sound effects for video games, right? Sound
Nice.
design for video games. And I was like, wow, I really like all this. So there is more to audio than just pigeonholing yourself into one thing that people do, right?
Absolutely.
Good life lesson, I guess. But
Yeah.
so then after that, we kind of got to this point where I've just been working off and on doing this commission work. And then when the idea of, I guess my best friend, our lead dev, he has always wanted, like, he knew his entire life he wants to make a video game. That's
Nice.
him, right? 100%.
Hmm.
And so I'm kind of the person who's always just along for the ride, and like I'm fine with that because it's just my personality.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, like, do you want to make a game with me? You can be our sound person. And I was like, you know what? That sounds great. And so thought never crossed my mind once, but when someone asked, I was like, yes, of course.
Yes. That is so cool. Taking hold of that opportunity. Someone I was talking to actually on this mentioned that like he heard somewhere that for every one developer there's like, or for every 100 developers there's like one composer. Like there's a lot of work out there for people who do music, especially in
Yeah,
video games. So you work full time and then also do this on the side. Is that right?
correct.
Nice. And so when do you find time? Like, what does your time management look like? I know, like, for myself, and I know a lot of people probably watching, finding the time to do it and not kind of getting burned out is kind of a struggle. What's your time management look like from your job, and how do you find time to do, this thing you obviously love to do?
Time management is a very difficult topic
Yeah,
in general,
it is.
as you know, right? But it's like, and I'm still working very diligently to try and better myself in terms of time management, because right now it's kind of a mess for me. But basically, I mean, little bits at a time, right?
Yeah.
I think are the most important. Consistency more than
Hmm.
anything else is what matters, right? So, I try to remind myself that, like, if I work a full day, like, so I get up at 5 in the morning, right? Because I work at
Hmm.
6 a.m.
Okay.
So I work from 6 a.m. until like 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. Then I get home and it's maybe 4 because of traffic.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, let's do a little bit tonight and a little bit of something. So whether it be, sit down tonight and work on a specific enemy's sound effects, or sit down and practice clarinet, or sit down and, whatever it may be. And I always try to remind myself, like, even if it's only like 10 minutes,
Hmm.
like, that's something, right?
Yeah.
And that is, I think, one of the best things you can do for yourself is just to continue to remind yourself, I think, that to tell your brain, because your brain is always listening,
Hmm.
that it's okay to not always work, long stints at a time all the time.
Yeah.
And you only have so much time in the day. You already worked a whole ass job, so you just come home and you should feel good about working hard. You worked hard today. If you only
Hmm.
work a little harder, it's okay,
Yeah.
So But for me, basically, more so for me, it's like I come home and I usually do a couple hours of like something related to the game. So
Hmm.
maybe it's sound effects, or maybe tonight I want to implement all the sound effects I made yesterday, right? And I usually, for me, again, this is where it's bad. I don't stop until I'm done. So
Yeah.
like, I think that's the curse the trap everyone falls into. Maybe I should be better about that. But essentially, I'll sit down and I'll be like coding something into Game Maker for audio, and if it just doesn't work properly, I don't go to bed until it's done.
Dude, I
Um,
can't go to bed. I have to not to cutting, but I
no, no.
can't work on coding if it's the last thing I do before bed, because if I get stuck on a bug or something like that and I can't figure it out and I go to bed, it's all I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about like solutions, like maybe this would work, maybe this would work. What's
Yeah,
going on?
I,
So
I think
I totally feel you there.
I think about solutions while I'm at work, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
bad because it distracts me from my day job. I'll be
Yes.
sitting there like thinking like, okay, well that sound effect didn't play when I did this action, so maybe I have to change an if statement or something. Like I'll have to,
Hmm.
and I'm like sitting there just trying to think it through for like moments. Yeah, no, I totally, absolutely, and so it's definitely caused some problems where I try not to go to bed like after 10 p.m. But like I've had nights where I'm like up at the computer and it's like 9:30. I haven't even started getting ready yet. I'm like I have to get it. I can't stop until I'm done.
Yeah.
It sucks.
2 hours later. 2 hours later, you're
Yeah,
still working on it. Yeah.
yeah. But I guess it's important to remind yourself consistency is more important. And if you can stop, you should probably try to.
Hmm. Definitely. Um. So you work in Game Maker now. That's
Yeah.
correct. Okay. And so were you working in Unreal at all? Do you have? Yeah.
I have worked in Unreal in the past. We haven't ourselves, like for
Oh,
this
okay.
project.
Yeah.
But I was learning a little bit of Unreal simply for 3D art purposes because I wanted to just have landscapes to build out and like I was in Unreal for the sole purpose of being an environment artist.
Okay.
But then I did very very briefly. I touched on like learning how to code in C++, but
Okay.
I didn't get very far before I brain mushed, so I just didn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I have not touched Unreal, and frankly, I'm kind of afraid to. I've always been in Unity, and I understand Unity. Understand in quotes. I don't really understand anything, but I'm always going to YouTube for tutorials. No shame. No shame in that.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, and also, they say you should use what you know, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So, I guess I'm. Is there any advice that you would want to instill on someone who is looking to kind of get into game development, or kind of wanting to mix music for game dev, or just music in general? Is there any advice that you would want to share so someone else wouldn't or would have it before doing something?
Sorry, I just was gonna chuckle to myself because I was gonna say just do it, and then I was
Yeah.
like, wait, meme. But like literally, like, I mean something that I struggle with still to this day. But it's like I think as humans we think a lot about doing things. We don't actually put them into action.
Yeah.
We think all the time like, oh, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing, I'm going to do this thing, I can do this thing, and then we don't consistently do it, and then we don't get better at it, and we don't do it. We don't
Yeah.
we don't take enough action. We just have too many words,
Mm-hmm.
right? Words
Mm-hmm.
are good, but you need both.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's like just do it. And honestly, like I guess another really important piece is like stay on your path, right?
Yeah.
Don't let other people's paths deviate your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this kind of goes into like our modern social media world, but it's kind of like you see everybody's wins and never
Yes.
anyone's losses, and so it will make you feel horrible about yourself and your progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so do not worry about that. Stay in your lane, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that is so true. I mean, even seeing your game here, I'm just like, man, like, whew, I could only aspire to look like that. But it's like
no.
it takes time, like,
It
and
does.
and just like just doing it, like taking the time. And you mentioned consistency, even if it's 10 minutes, like you said, like getting that consistency and just doing it and kind of sticking with it, like changes the game.
If you keep working to improve all the time, you will get better, and the world cannot ignore you.
Yeah,
Right? Is my philosophy. I think
yeah.
it's like, and like you said with this, it takes time, and you have to be okay with that. But
Mm-hmm.
when you get 6 months down the line and you're making your game, or
Yeah.
mixing your songs or whatever you're doing,
Hmm.
and you look back to 6 months before, even if you feel like you're total garbage right now, it's still garbage, whatever. Um, you will feel so much better seeing where you were before versus where you are now, right?
Yeah,
Because you're like, oh, I've definitely improved.
totally.
But it's always hard when you don't have that frame of reference. So I
I,
think that's important to keep in mind.
yes, absolutely. I think keeping, like you just mentioned now, keeping that state of mind of just, and making sure you're doing it because you love it,
Yes.
because you
Yes.
mentioned you learned that in college, Well, I don't know if you stopped doing it because you didn't love it, because you're obviously still doing it now, mixing music. But
Well, it's true, but it's sort of like I'm very particular about what I mix now because
yeah,
it's like it's the mixing world is a bit scary to me. So if I'm mixing a very epic like orchestral track for a video game, I'm for that. That's sick. That's awesome.
yes, yes,
But like I don't want to sit here and like mix. I mean, I hardly do this now. I mix vocals sometimes, right? Like vocal
mm-hmm,
covers,
mm-hmm,
but like I only do it for a few specific people because
okay,
I'm like I know that you and I are gonna make a good product.
mm-hmm,
It's like your clientele, right? But
yeah,
like every other people that I've worked with just like drive me nuts, and it almost sometimes drives me to hate the thing I love, and
yeah,
so I think that is important as well. Yeah, like love the thing you're doing and realize when you're suffering in a way that like will make you stop loving it and
mm-hmm,
figure out why that's happening and see if you can stop it. Because it's like I said with like mixing, like I rarely do it because I want to preserve my love for it, right?
yeah,
Like it for me, I think it's just a hobby thing, except for like with the game, I'm like this is serious. I love this.
mm-hmm,
But in certain other situations, it's like I'm not meant for that, right?
yeah,
So again, there's many pathways you can take. You just have to figure out which one is yours.
yeah, totally. That is so cool. Yes. Well, Jay, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I mean, to do this with me and share your love for Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask specifically. Um,
Always.
yes. But I really appreciate you being here. I noticed that you had a few different social medias for your hats. You had like your
Yeah.
clarinet one. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because people know where to find you and what you're posting there. I just thought that was a great idea. I wanted to shout out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, but yes. You can find Jay's information and this amazing game they're working on in the description below. Thank you guys for being here. Jay, is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
You're wonderful. All of you are wonderful, and keep doing the things you love doing. Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.